Okay, so this property was actually built here in the 1880s. Little did they know when they built it that it was such a famous location. Obviously, the Ingles had long been gone since 1841, 1842. They left here, but there's a little story here that there's a garden, and when they were plowing up the garden, they found a horseshoe from going way back. So who knows, potentially that was a horseshoe of one of their little Mustang horses they had running around here. Then the owners in 1960, who are still continuously the owners here now, have turned it into this really cool museum. And he did not, when the guy first built the property here, he had no idea that it was their property until somebody told him that well was potentially the well dug by Charles Ingles. Pretty cool. That's pretty awesome. 1869 on the Osage.
They left the rope latch outside the door so the next settler could use the cabin. Think about that.
So, Independence is right there, right? And Dr. Tan was the first African American doctor in this whole territory, and he's buried. His body's buried right here. In this book, The Little House on Prairie, Laura frequently refers to the Osage tribe that lived on the prairie near the cabin. Paul settled this location thinking that Congress had acquired the title to the land so settlers could begin moving to Kansas Prairie. However, the ownership of the present site was in question. The Ingles built the cabin in or near the Osage Diminished Reserve. The Osage left the main camp 3 times a year to go hunting. It is believed that the main camp was near Coffeyville, Kansas. The Osage lived in the wigwams at the permanent village, but when they went on hunting trips, the Native Americans took their teepees. The Osage village exhibits it's dedicated to the Osage Native Americans who lived on this site. So this would be the one-room schoolhouse that wasn't obviously not on this location. They moved it here. Not exactly right.
You think it was the bank too?
No, but
Oh, that's how they sent
that's
money.
how they sent money. So a lot of times the wagons, the post office were the biggest targets. All the P.O. boxes and the weight of mail. So this is why they actually came. They believed that the Indians, the territory of the Indians were become available, and they quickly found out that that was not true, and that's why they ended up leaving after only 2 years here, because they were told that this is the Osage Indian Reservation and that it was going to become available for white settlers, and they were going to buy this land for $1.25 per acre, which ended up being true later. But what they actually ended up doing was they were trying to push the Osage Indians further up into Kansas, and then they, in a treaty talk, they decided that they were going to let the Osage be the perimeter here and get them all out of Oklahoma and put them to here, so that Oklahoma could become a new territory, a new state. So what's interesting is they just kind of picked the wrong place. They came here. They're thinking they're going to get this property, and 2 years later, they found out the military was coming to drive them off. So really, finding this well was the only really concrete evidence they had that this was the property that Laura Ingles wrote about, that Charles Ingles came to. So, because there were obviously, that house is a replica, there were no houses here, and this property was the only larger property lived on out here, and it's the only one with a hand dug well. And she had written that Paul dug a 20-foot well covered, lined with rocks. That's pretty amazing. So today I'm really excited to be with my sister and her husband, and Gail, of course, behind the camera. And we're going to be doing a tour of Will Rogers Museum. I've always wanted to go here. We're in Claremore, Oklahoma, and just be prepared to be inspired. So really, Gail had asked previously who was Will Rogers, and that's such a great question because he was a multifaceted guy. But the best way to explain him is he was a comedian, a roper, that was also able to speak us into the political realm. We would call that person a satirist today, and somebody who used the political world to kind of bring comedy, but what he was really doing was bringing common sense to the rest of the world. As far as thinking, how can we break down this overly complicated perspectives and bring it back down to just a cowboy thought process? So one of the things Will Rogers is famous for is some of his most famous quotes. And this is probably his most known quote, and the first quote I ever knew about him is he said, "I never met a man I didn't like." I wish I could say that. What a great horse.
And the loop goes over horse and rider to catch all 4 feet.